Good day, my wonderful people. You're welcome back to the channel. This is Uglo Fashion, and this is what we'll be learning today. High and low circle blouse. So you can use belt alongside with it, though the belt is optional. But as for me, I think I prefer using belt alongside. And it has a puff sleeve as well. So please stay tuned to the end and enjoy the tutorial. It's well detailed and it's beginner friendly. So if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you and love you as always. Please like and share the video, and please, if you have any comments as well, let's meet in the comment section. Have a good day. So for the tutorial, I'll be making use of this Ankara fabric. So I folded it this way into two, then I fold it again in a bias form into four. So when you are doing this, ensure there's no ruffle, there's no folding in between the fabric. It's well laid and placed on the table. So having done with this, the next step is to measure the length of the blouse. Since it's high and low and I folded it this way, I'll first measure the low part, which is the front. So doing this, now I've gotten the length. The length I'll be working with is 27 inches. That's for the front, and for the back I'll be using 34 inches. The back is almost close to the knee length, so that's why I use 34. And that 34, you know, I've added my seam allowance of 1 inch. Then I'll come back to this side and chalk it round. Though you can do this in another method, you can use another method for this. So from this peak to this point, I measure 10.5 round. But to make work easier, I don't need it curved, so I'll just use my ruler to make a straight line there, and that is for the shoulder. So now I've gotten my shoulder measurements. The shoulder measurement circumference is 16 divided by 2 will give me 8 inches. And if you look closely, I have more than 8 inches there. I have like 9.5. That's because I'm still going to shape out the armhole. So from that point, I'll measure my 34 again. That is from the 10 inches. That's where I'm starting my 34 now. Or if you like, you can start from the peak, the sharp part, but just ensure that you are still chalking the 34 inches round. So I'll go around with the 34 till I get to the edge. Sorry, my table is a bit smaller, that's why I have to be shifting it this way. So to make it easier, if you don't have a big table, you can do it on the floor. So after doing this, like I said, the tutorial is very the blouse is very easy. So I'll just go ahead and cut this. So after cutting the shoulders, so I chalk this part, the front, that's the lower one. So I chalk that the front, then I label the other part, the back, the higher one. You know, it's high and low. So from there I will measure the 8 inches for the shoulder. Then I'll come down with our usual 7 inches for the armhole. Then I'll go ahead and connect it back to the, so I'm trying to use my ruler just for the sake of the tutorial anyways, so as to know where I started my curve from. So after that I'll measure the neckline. So for the neckline I used 3.5 inches, but because you know it's folded into 4, which means I'm cutting both front and back together, I'll still come down with just 1 inch. Then back to the armhole, I'll measure 1, then slant it back to the neckline. So that's the armhole slope. So there's no need of opening the side, you can sew it this way. So I just pushed in the back bodies. Now I'll go ahead and cut the neckline of the front. So for the neckline of the front I used 6 inches. Then I'll just cuff it back to the neckline because it's a round neckline. So I'll just bring everything back together. So because there's still going to be a stitch to join the back, so I left like ½ inch. I'm not sure if you can see that. So I left like ½ inch at the middle. So I'll just trim the print of the fabric, and if you notice I notched the armhole. So I'll just trim that off. So now you are good to go with your high and low. So this is what we have at the end of the day. So easy. The next thing now is to go to my machine. So because I'll be adding lining, I cut the lining the same measurement with the Ankara fabric. So this is optional, you can sew without adding lining. So the first thing I did was to turn the hem line. So after turning the hem line, I turned the neckline as well. So this is the back. I said I added ½ inch, so I'll go ahead and stitch the half because that's the only opening that we have there, the middle of the back. So I'll stitch that and also stitch the lining. You can see I'm stitching the fabric separately, then I will also stitch the lining separately. Now after stitching, this is what I have. So, and I've done that of the neckline as well. So the next one is the shoulder. Now go ahead and just fold it this way. You can use your machine to first stitch whether the back or the front to either of the two, either the back or the front. You can stitch one side, then you just put one in the other. I don't know how well to explain that. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say there. So now to cut the sleeve, I placed back my remaining fabric on my table. Now the sleeve is in two steps. Let me say two steps. The first step is you cut the straight part, and the second step is the puffy part. So for the first step, that's the one I'm cutting now. I first measure 5 inch. I first measure the length of the sleeve, then which is 10 inches plus M, making 11 inches. Then I measure 5 and 2 inches. I measure the circumference of the bicep on the 5, circumference of the elbow on the 10. Then for the 2 inches I measure up. I added 1 inch to the measurement of the bicep to make that slant shape. So I just, from the upper parts, I measure like 3, then give it this curve shape. If you don't really know how to cut the sleeve, I'll drop a link in my description box so you can check it out there. So after cutting this, I'll just notch the middle. So this is what I have. I've cut the 2 sleeve, and I notch both up and down of the sleeve. So I'll place this aside, and I'm mixing this with this doll face. So the circumference I have there, I'll multiply it by 3. That is the circumference of the elbow plus your seam allowance times 3. But this is optional anyways. If you want your puff to be more than that, you can multiply with 3.5. If you don't want it up to that, you can multiply with 2 inches. It depends, with 2 rather, it depends on you. So and the inches I'm using, because it's still going to come back inside, you know, if I put my rubber, I will still push it back inside. So the length I used is 11. So after multiplying, I will just cut. After cutting, I notch the middle. Then the next thing is to go and stitch on my machine. So first of all, I'll fold the hem of the puff. So you fold it into 2. You fold it twice. So I stitch that, and the part that will be connected to the elbow, I stitch once, then I pull the thread just in form of gather. So I'm trying to gather that part. I just pull the thread. Now I'm done. So I'll measure if it's aligned with the circumference of the elbow. So I think I have the same there. So I'll just stitch the 2 together. I'm done stitching. The next thing is to stitch my measurement and to fix to my high and low circle blouse. So thank you very much for watching the tutorial to the end. Stay blessed. Love you. Bye.